In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum's CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation, the MisFitNation show. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation. It's Thursday after dinner show. I know some of you are glued to your TV watching Amazon Prime and the Indiana Fever against the New York Liberty and WNBA, as WNBA actually has fans now, thanks to some good marketing and one pretty good college player coming into the league. She's struggling now, but she'll get it. She'll get her back together, and she'll start lighting up soon. Those who don't know, next week is our Memorial Day shows. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we will have a different guest on each night, celebrating their journey in service and their brothers and sisters who may have passed during service with them every night at 7 p.m. on all of our social medias and YouTube, of course. The Tuesday crew will also host Will Ellers on Tuesday as part of this rotation. Tonight, we have another great veteran coming on. He was born in Lancaster, California in 1981. After graduating high school in 99, he decided to join the United States Marines. In February 2000, he then deployed to Kuwait, Iraq in 2003 for the initial push. He was honorably discharged in 2004. He then transitioned, like many of us do, and worked in the aerospace industry at Northrop Grumman for almost 15 years before being deemed 100% unemployable by the Veterans Administration. He decided to start podcasting about a year and a half ago now, and has been doing it ever since. So without further ado, let's welcome USMC veteran and host of Everyday Saturday Marine Veteran Podcast, Bryan Roof, to the show. Welcome, Bryan.
What's going on, brother?
How you doing, brother? It's
Thank
great
you for
to have
having me
you
on, man.
No problem, man. You jumped on the other night. It's like, I know the name, but I couldn't put the two and two together. I thought my TBI was acting up. It's like, who is this dude? I know him. He's talked to me before. I had no idea. And I had to ask Willis, of course, our link in the chain, Willis. And he said, Dad, that's who he is. You need to get him on. And luckily, stars aligned. Guest fell out tonight. You jumped right in. Thanks for stepping on that landmine for us tonight.
Hey, absolutely. No problem, man.
So, Bryan, I gave your two sentence bio that you sent me. Let's expand upon that a little more. Tell us a little more about Bryan, from as far back as you want to go to how we got to here, and tell us about Everyday a Saturday Marine Veteran Podcast.
All right. Yeah, man. So basically, just kind of how you kind of covered it. Grew up here in Lancaster, Palmdale, California. It's up in the high desert area, Southern California. Played football, wrestled in high school. Always kind of was into that high impact, sports. Didn't really know what I was going to do with myself. I always wanted to play football. Really, honestly, that was kind of like, hey, I just want to be a football player. But, lo and behold, when I graduated, I just got a little hair up my butt and decided I wanted to go talk to a recruiter. And I knew that my cousin, who was a year behind me, had already he was listed in the Devil Dog program or Devil Pup program. And that's where you can kind of like make a little bit of a commitment to the Marine Corps that you're going to join. And then they kind of run you through a whole thing of, training for a year. So when I knew that, I was like, well, I can't go nothing less than the Marine Corps. And I had already been talking to an Army recruiter, and the dude was kind of really pressuring me and pushing me too much to where he was kind of turning me off. So when it was time for me to seek it out, I mean, I called all the different branches, and the Marine Corps decided to answer the call that day. And I was so gung-ho. I went into the recruiting station, and the way my recruiter kind of had put it, he was just like basically making it seem like it was a big camping trip. You could go out, shoot some of my awesome weapons. And, he was saying all the shit that I was just like, that sounds great. And where do I sign? And he, he was like, all right, well, you got to go through MEPS. You got to do all these things. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll go as soon as I can. And so within a couple weeks, he had me up in MEPS, and I went through MEPS and went, down into MCRD San Diego, and drove in there and was just like in awe when we were going through the gates, and I saw these Marines standing at the gate. They just had this presence, and I'm just like, oh damn! Everybody in the bus is quiet as hell. And as soon as that thing comes to a stop, man, them guys just come on and, rip us up, telling us to get off the bus. And I had no clue kind of what I was getting myself into. I didn't really have much time to prep for all this, right? So I watched Full Metal Jacket, you
Oh,
know,
that
and that
helped
was
you
kind
out.
of, yeah, that was kind of my like, oh, this is Marine Corps stuff? All right, cool. Well, when you get into it, it's a whole nother ball game. I didn't realize like these dudes march everywhere, right? And like we had to do all this drill. I was like, gosh, damn. Everywhere was drill, drill, drill. Even to the fact that like we even have a competition, and then based on how you guys do on that competition amongst the other platoons is how you end up placing for like a field week. And anyways, like while I was in the receiving area, I was delirious, like probably like day 2, day 3 of us just being up all this time, making us do fire watch. Um, I've never really had like all this sleep deprivation. Well, we're sitting around in circle, and the one guy's just sitting there talking to us. That he's like a receiving gunny, and I start laughing so hard at this one other recruit, man. And I'm trying not to like bust it out, and I'm like, and I let it out and just start dying, right? And that drill instructor just was like, "Hey, what the," just start ripping us up. And he wasn't our real drill instructor. He's just a receiving guy. But that dude let the drill instructors know that I guess I thought I was a funny guy, So when them drill instructors came through and they identified me, man, I tell you, they were on my ass like flies on poop. And these dudes were putting me on the quarterdeck every opportunity they could get through boot camp. But anyhow, make it through boot camp. And when I joined so fast, like I didn't even go retake an ASVAB because the ASVAB was good enough to get me going. But they kind of put me on like almost like an open contract, and I had no clue kind of what my job was gonna be.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I go through boot camp, and they still right at the end of boot camp when you're getting ready to graduate, you get your orders, right? And it kind of at this moment in time, it tells me that, oh, I'm 3051 supply. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. At least I didn't get cook. I didn't really want to be a cook, and nothing against the cooks. All right, shit, I ain't saying nothing wrong about the cooks. But I was just happy I didn't get cooked. And next thing you know, they sent after boot camp, they sent us home, and I score recruiting assistance duty. So I get to stay home like an extra 2 weeks, walk around the different high schools wearing my dress blues, flexing on everybody. Like, yeah, I'm a Marine now, at the high schools. And then off to, good old the fleet. We end up going in right around this time. So when I join, it's February 2000. Peacetime, nothing was going on. After I go through my MCT, my supply class, they send us out to the fleet. I end up getting orders to Camp Pendleton, Oceanside. And that's where I got lucky enough to be, because otherwise they actually messed my orders up, and it was originally for 29 Palms. Oof. And I showed up there, and the warrant officer told me all my orders were messed up and that they could ship me off to Oceanside if I wanted to go. I was like, hell yeah. It was dead ass summer too. I was like, it was already over 100 degrees over there in 29 Palms. But yeah, man. And then while I'm over, I get to Supply Battalion, 1st FSSG Supply Battalion. That's my first duty station. And when I get there, it's, late 2000. So like probably I would say around June, July, maybe even August, around there. I got there. Everything was going cool. I ended up playing on the Marine Corps football team. Life was pretty normal. And then 2001 happens. 9/11, 2001 happens. And on this day, I happen to have an eye appointment. And so I go up to the optometrist for my eyes. And while I'm sitting in the waiting room, they have the news on. And I just remember watching like the the building got hit by the first one already, and that was what was on. And we're like, damn, that's crazy. I'm thinking, damn, what the hell? Why would a pilot be flying that low and just, run into a building? So
he should have been an optometrist.
And as we're sitting there watching, the second one hits, boom, and we're like, oh shit, this is not. At this point in time, everybody's like, wow, this is not normal. This is a terrorist attack. Well, I end up going through my whole hello, and I end up going into my whole appointment and going through it. And when I get sent back after my appointment, I go back to my warehouse, and it's dead. No one's there. And there's a sergeant there, and he's like, hey, Roof, you need to go back to your room. We're doing junk on a bunk, which means we pull all of our gear out. We put it on. He's like, the base is currently shut down. He's like, you need to tell your family you're likely going to be shipping out. I'm like, what? Like, I left to this appointment. Everything was normal, man. Come back to like, you're getting ready to be deployed. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. So go back to the rooms. We do our JOBs, and of course, nothing happens. We don't get deployed right off rip. Then rolls around 2002, December of 2002. I get orders that I'm deploying to Kuwait in January 15th of 2003. And I'm like, wow, all right, this is for real. And we already had a couple other Marines that had to go because we were the early party. We were basically, they needed Marines and other people to go over there to set up camp. So when everybody else was over there, it would already be pretty much, already stood up for them all. So, man, when you get those letters and you're deploying, it runs a whole gamut through your head of like, wow, this is real.
Yep.
All this training we've all been doing all our life, our careers, in the military is now getting put into test, and we're going to be seeing some live stuff. And it just, at that point in time, I start I'm like, all right, make plans with family, go see my family, go do hang out with my friends. I had about 3 weeks or 2 weeks of time kind of before I got to deploy, and dumbass me, dude, I get a tattoo the night I'm freaking going to fly out. I get a tattoo and I like a fool. So I have to heal over in the Middle East in the sand and all that crap with this fresh tattoo. So anyhow, I'm taking us on the wrong route, I guess here. But when I deploy, we go over to Frankfurt, Germany is where they have us go. And when we get to Frankfurt, Germany, it was literally supposed to be a quick layover, but they had found out there was issues with the landing gear. So they're like, all right, well, now we got to put all these Marines into the hotels. So that's what they did. They threw 300 Marines into a hotel, and some Marines had to go they had to go to the lock all the rifles up and all that stuff. And the rest, we all go back to the hotel, and they're like, all right, none of you guys are not allowed to leave this hotel. Well,
can't tell Marines that.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, exactly. And then so we all go down to, they had a bar there, and everybody starts drinking and getting plastered. Well, one of the staff NCOs is like, hey, man, I'm going to send you with a couple ATM cards. You're going to run out to the go ATM. You guys are going to get some money and come back. And we're like, what? So, we go and get money, and we come back, man. I tell you what, that place turned into a wild party to the point where, people were obliterated, drunk. We had to be in formation at 03 to get on the flight. People were being carried out to the formation. I mean, guys were just like stumbling. We had PFCs throwing up, passed out. It was just a bad situation. The colonel was just livid while everybody's in formation because people were falling out, and they're like, "Hey, go put him on the curb." What the no, man. So anyhow, we get on the bus, go back to the airport. We all like we're dead tired, man. We sleep the whole time, and we wake up and we're getting on the plane, and we all fall asleep again on the plane. And as we're in the air, they're telling us that we need to prepare for emergency landing, and that we need to put tuck our hands behind our head, and all this stuff. And we're like, what? And we didn't even it felt like we were flying forever, bro. But we literally just took off. So we ended up having to come back and land again. They had us in Germany again. Well, that second night they were like, everybody goes to their room immediately. And I got dubbed on the go put all the weapons up again, and I was like, I got voluntold, hey, you need to go put all the weapons. And when I get back, everybody was told they had to go back to the rooms. There's no more party tonight. You guys blew it. So anyhow, man, we end up getting back on the plane. We arrive in Kuwait, and what an interesting, like we land at an airport in Kuwait. They put us on some bus, and the bus is covered. Like, we can't see out the windows. It's just completely covered, and they just drive us, and we don't know, for how long. A lot of us are passed out again because we're still hungover from that one night. And finally we get to a place called Camp Commando in Kuwait. And when I get there, there's nothing there really at this point in time. Couple tents are put up. But as I'm there, part of our job was to offload the big old 20-footers and the 40-footer containers that were coming over, as well as all the different vehicles. We had to take all the vehicles, line them up for all the different units so that the units could come pick them up when they were ready to go. And then after that, I think I was there for about a good solid 2 weeks, just working my tail off, building up the camp, offloading ships, standing guard, all that stuff. And then my unit finally got up there. And then March 8th, man, I'll never forget the day. Just had gotten off the phone, and I'm walking through, and just hear this boom, and it's just a huge explosion. And we just start all running. We had spent a lot of time out there building up this whole bunker, scud bunker as well. So once we heard the missile hit and stuff, we all just fucking grabbed our shit and started running. No alarms had went off or anything at that point in time until about a few minutes after impact of this missile. So after that, we're like, oh shit, man, these dudes know where we're at now, and we're going to be getting laid on. So we all sitting in this bunker the whole time, and I'm in the bunker, man, and I was probably one of the first ones in there. And I'm sitting in there, and everybody finally makes it in, and I'm like, out of relief, out of everything, I kind of start laughing, right? I'm just like, I had ran into a guy as I was running out, and I knocked into him really hard. And I thought about that, and then I was like, holy shit, dude, this is crazy. Now it's real. And I'm laughing. Well, as I'm laughing, my staff NCO comes over, and this big dude, bodybuilding dude, comes up, puts his hands and punches me. He's like, hey, what in the fuck are you laughing at? Do you realize we could be putting some of your friends in body bags? Because at this point in time, we had no clue where the missile had hit, right? We just knew that there was impact. It was hella close because we felt that through our bodies, and you could feel the ripple in the ground, all that. And I mean, obviously it did not hit inside our camp. Luckily it was outside of our camp, but the staff sergeant was just lost his mind on me because I was laughing. And I'm not laughing, because I thought it was fun. I'm laughing because it's like a relief thing for me, like, holy shit, I'm alive. Everybody had a different way of reacting. I mean, there was people out there crying. I mean, people were freaking out, right? Because we are definitely under attack. They ended up putting Patriot missiles up in the berms area because they were lighting us up at some point in time because they knew exactly where we were. We had been there for a while, and this was a Kuwaiti military base that was taken over in the Desert Storm era. So these guys already knew where this place was. And it was still a Kuwaiti military installation that we shared with the Kuwaiti military. So, man, I would say the first month after about March 8th, we were constantly running to a Scud bunker. The first couple of nights we ended up sleeping in the Scud bunker because they were just sending so much at us, and it were the Scud alarms just were like constantly going over and over and over. So we were like, fuck this. We're just going to sleep in this. We're just going to sleep in this thing, So ultimately that's what we did for a couple nights. And then, yeah, man, I mean, that was quite the trip of being like a sitting duck over there. We ended up setting up a supply point from Kuwait into Iraq, and we would push forward and supply the forward Marines. But I ended up getting a Red Cross message. It was around end of June, because I had made it back after my grandmother had passed. So I didn't make it in time, but they had sent a Red Cross message that my grandmother was passing, that they really wanted me to come home. And so my unit went ahead and okayed it, allowed me to go home on the Red Cross message. Like I said, I didn't really make it home in time. But then I was pretty much on a short term where I had to make a decision on either re-upping and doing another 4 or getting out, because I was pretty much right around that time. My EAS was going to be February of 2004, but if you save up enough time, which I did in the Marine Corps, you can get as early as I think 62 or 63 days of terminal leave. And of course, like I said, because me being deployed, I had plenty of times on the book.
Yeah,
they didn't allow us to take a lot of vacation days, so to speak.
Well, we talked in the green room earlier about how hot it is in the desert, and then you almost had that same experience going to 29 Palms. So that's a blessing and a curse that you didn't get to go there, because you probably would have climatized a lot quicker to get ready over there.
Well, crazy enough, bro, I live in the high desert. So in the California where I live, we reach over 100 degrees easily. So that's why me going to 29 Palms, I was like, gosh dang, it's not going to be much of a difference from where I live. But do I want to train in that kind of stuff? No, but yeah, I mean, climatize it would have been a lot better, because let me tell you, bro, I think on record, I think we had the hottest day was about 136 degrees. And even at nighttime, it would be over 100 degrees, and we would be sitting there pouring hot water on our bodies as we're trying to sleep. And the sandstorms over there were absolutely crazy. To experience those, you see them on the movies and stuff, but to be a part of it for real is kind of crazy, where you could kind of see the thing coming. And then when that thing comes through, the visibility is absolutely almost zero, and you got to try to hold things down and stuff. It's crazy how the winds, the sandstorms are over there. But
they definitely are. They're worse than, I guess they're dry hurricanes. So.
Yeah, I mean, gosh damn, it's a no wonder why a lot of those guys, like I said, are pretty pissed off in that region, because it is not a great place to live, man. I mean, it is no vacation. that I would ever want to sign up for ever again.
I definitely wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy to
Right.
hang out there and live there for their life. I'd rather them, maybe try to make a better part of their life and become successful. And you get to see the worst in man when you go to war. Of course, you also get to see some of the best things, like that staff sergeant telling you that you might have dead Marines, you might have some brothers getting put in body bags, even though he was being a little, I guess, over dramatic at the time, but he didn't know and you didn't know either. So he was trying to
Right.
put that into your head. So
Yep.
it's good that he did that. I want to go all the way back to when you went to basic and you were Private Joker, basically, from since Full Metal Jacket was your movie.
Kind of was, man. Actually,
did they call you that, or did they give you a name in boot camp?
no. I mean, with my last name being Roof, it was already rough. Just to begin with, because, and dude, another thing is I had gotten this tattoo. It was a bulldog. And this was me. I didn't even know I was going to go into the Marine Corps. My high school was Highland Bulldogs, and like we did good at football. So Bulldogs got this bulldog tattoo. So I ended up going in the Marine Corps, and they see that I got this devil dog looking tattoo already on my arm. I mean, that's another thing. I'm telling you, man, when I was in boot camp, bro, there was one drill instructor in particular. That guy, I couldn't do anything right at all. I mean, I could be the fastest dude, and he would say I was the slowest. And he just would take every opportunity he could get to smoke me. I mean, and I, like I said, I think that the seed got planted early in his brain. Like, this guy thinks he's funny.
Yeah, they talk about it. They put your name down on the list, and they probably drew a picture of you on the wall in their gunny's office. This is the one we're going after for the whole term. If we break him, we break him. If we don't, then he's going to be a good Marine.
Well, that's just the thing. I think that a big part of building up the Marines is breaking what they think they are, right? Like if you think you're some badass, they're going to break that. They're going to take that chip off your shoulder, so to speak, and they're going to level that. And they're going to build you up to what they want you to be, right? Like their level of cockiness.
Yeah. It depends on the crayons they're feeding you in the morning and how they stir it up. I know Willis.
Right, man.
I think Willis's favorite is red. What's your favorite?
I love green, and
Green,
that's just because green hits different, bro. You know what I mean? That's just the way I look at it.
It sure does. You're the first person I ever had say green, so that's awesome. My first green crayon eater. Awesome. And we also talked earlier about being that sitting duck, being the supply at that depot or that large base where you guys usually would sit, especially being at the MEF level, because you're pushing down to first MARDIV, second MARDIV, probably three. I think all three were there. First, second, and third, I think, were in the initial push. So you're probably pushing all three of them as they went up. And you might not think it was a big deal for what you were doing there. One, you're a sitting duck, and then two, you got to get all them beans and bullets forward.
Oh yeah.
So that's a job that a lot of people, we laugh at supply. We get angry with them because they want the eraser back for a pencil before they give you a pencil, or their toilet paper roll before they give you more toilet paper. But it's an essential part of our jobs or of our mission to have you guys send us stuff.
Well, and let me tell you, bro, while we were over there, one story that will always ring in my head, and this is just, being a support unit, you're gonna take the brunt of it all. Right. But when the war started, and this was right around when we made the push, we were past the berm. We have ground units over there now fighting, and this captain comes back, and he looks fucking just distressed, and he is just livid, and he's pacing and going crazy, and get over to go see what's going on, and he's just like, you guys, if you guys would have got a plate over here, my lieutenant would have been alive right now, and just blaming us for some shit that we had nothing to do with. Did we get plates? Yes, but that had nothing to do with us getting that shipment, right? Like we were getting stuff very slow. You got to imagine we're getting all these stuff over here by container. We're not in the same region as the US. We're not just driving over vehicles like, oh yeah, you know, these things got to be shipped, man. They got to be over there and let me tell you, man, we took the brunt of it, and I'll never forget it because that guy made me feel like it was my fault completely, right? Like he really shit on us, like, and it was horrible because we're learning that we lost a guy too, right? And then that just like, gosh, damn. And then you start hearing about more stories coming down the wire about this guy, about this person, and then and that's the thing. Everybody, we're like the face of it all because we're the front guys, so we keep seeing all these guys coming up, and they need. Some guys shit got burnt up, and now they need new camis, or these guys lost this, so we got to go over to this camp to go get that. I mean, it was crazy, bro. Like we had a lot of like sleepless nights, right, where we were just up going to this camp to grab this material for these Marines, or even there was times where we had to supply some of the Army guys because shit started getting low on material or low on supply. We had to do what we had to do. Yep. And that's the other great thing that I think that on deployment, man, there's one thing that I think that I've had the biggest appreciation for, and that's my fellow branches of service, all my brothers and sisters from all branches of service, and how we work together, how we were able to come together and make missions happen and do great things and just be cohesive when we needed to, right? I mean, yeah, there was some competition on the basketball courts and stuff during some times, Natural. But we had there was a lot of respect there. And I think a lot of people gained a lot of respect for just different MOSs in general too, right? Because you get to see everybody in action when you're deployed. It's a different thing when you're in the rear and with the gear, so to speak, and there's no you're at peacetime. But when you're deployed, man, and you're in the forward movement, different world.
When I was like I told you, I went to Ramadi I was fell into their first Mardiv and General Mattis, one of probably the best leaders I ever got to work under. And on April 6th of 2004, we were in the fight for Ramadi, and the Marines had got ambushed. 2-4 Marines, Magnificent Bastards, Joker Company and Porcupine Company, both got ambushed at the same time. We just happened to be down there. We weren't going to leave them alone down there. So we just tried to get more reinforcements out there, but we went right into the fight to help them and try to get their people out. And we didn't care if they had USMC on their camis. We cared that they were US and are our dudes. We had to get in there. We fought all day. It was probably a 13-hour fight. I went black on ammo twice that day, trying to get in and out of those streets and fight with my brothers. And then 4 days later, we did it again on Route Apple with Joker Company again, just to weed all those dudes out. And those were probably the worst days and the best days of my battles in Ramadi.
Yeah, man. It's amazing how that whole situation brought everybody closer. Like,
right.
I just had one of my good buddies on one of my shows that I was in my unit, and that's one thing we talked about, how different things changed from when we were peacetime and doing things, and then all of a sudden we deployed, and then we all had to end up kind of becoming way closer and being way more friendly with each other. As before, it wasn't like, sometimes it was a little bit more standoffish with certain individuals. It became more family, right? Like right. When we deployed, and I'll never forget how beautiful that looked. Seeing all the different branches, and even the UK guys, the Royal Marines, the Army, the British Army, all those guys. We got to hang out with a lot of them different guys and talk with them, and what a great experience.
I didn't think anything of those days, of those battles, until I was later in my career. I was stationed in Alabama when I went TDY to Utah, and I couldn't sleep. I was watching the History Channel at midnight, and show Battle Cry Iraq came on, and there I am running across the street on TV. I was like, wait a second, that's me, and that's our battle. And it was the whole story of that battle. So it all came right back. So I called them up, asked them if I get it free since I'm in the video. They said no. So I paid my $24.99 to get the DVD. Now you can probably download it on anything you want to do. So Shootout, Battle Cry Ramadi, Battle Cry Iraq Ramadi.
Yeah, YouTube, no problem.
It'll be there.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy now. The time has gone by, and then now you start to reflect and look back on it and to think how much of a part of history you are now, right? I mean, and our kids, they'll be learning about that kind of stuff. Their kids and stuff. It's
if they're allowed to.
Right. Well, yeah. Who knows by then, right?
Right.
But well, that's the great thing about these podcasts. At least, people can get raw deals and stories out of us.
Yep.
Somewhere.
Heck yeah. We make us talking about it, us saying the names of our brothers and sisters we lost, keeps those memories alive. My Tuesday crew, when they're on, I'm able to search other things like our first responders who we lost, and I'm able to put them up there and have Jake and Steve mention their names, so their names are kept going as well. So we have our first responders, we have our veterans, and we kind of keep that community. Most first responders come from our community as well, or have some kind of link to us. So that's why we're such a close-knit family, and I think that's why we as podcasters can do our best to get all the names out there and get all these stories out there.
Yeah, I appreciate that part too, and I think there's also within the veteran community, a little bit of a stigma that probably could be broken, and that's some of the generational differences that each generation thinks the next generation is, not going to do it, or, there's a lot of things that happen in the veteran world. At least we can kind of have more clarity and stuff with the conversation and bridge the gap of some of these differences and stuff like that, and bring people down and stop kind of having those generational differences, or even the veteran versus veteran differences. Some of those stigmas that are going and plaguing our day-to-day world.
Right.
We all need to be, we all sat there and worked together and came together and, accomplished some great things and great missions. And that's why the U.S. is the way it is today.
Right.
Is there's
100%.
people before you and I that laid and paved the way for us. Right. And then we got an opportunity to put our layer of history, I guess you want to say, in there as well.
Our chapter. We put our chapter in there. I mean, if it
We
wasn't
got to
for
put a stamp on it.
I mean, thank God we don't fight the way our ancestors did it in the Civil War and the Revolutionary War, standing in line with muskets and pointing at each other and hoping we're not the one that gets hit. So thank God we learned lessons from that. Then we went to, say, World War I with trench warfare. But if you look right now, we're repeating that in Ukraine. They're in trench warfare right now. Basically the same kind of fight for 10 inches and dig another hole. So you kind of relive that history a little bit there. But we learned a lot of lessons along the way. And as veterans, we can see our dads and our uncles who were in Vietnam. When they came home, they were spit on, they were yelled at, they were called all kinds of names. And most of them were too proud to go get help at the VA. And if they were told something wasn't wrong with them, they said, okay, nothing's wrong with me, I'm going to go to work. And that system finally broke when probably 2004 or 5, I think, because of all their pushing and their fighting stuff to help us. And now we got to keep that fight alive for the future generation.
Right. And not only that, but you got to figure too, our country goes through waves of peacetime, and then you have combat time, and there's a fallout, right, from that moment of when there's combat, because people, and now we're, like you said, bro, it's starting to be more awareness towards it.
Yep.
That, wow, a dramatic situation creates some kind of post-traumatic stress for people. And it doesn't have to be war, bro. It could be, I mean, there's people that have training accidents that have left them with, there's people that have been assaulted. Right. There's just different cases. And now we're at a level that we're getting more educated with it, and at least we can start bringing out the level of what people used to be uncomfortable to talk about. We can make it more comfortable for them to talk about, so that way we can get to more of the root of the problem, right? And stop trying to mask it and say, take this pill, take that pill, let's give you another pill, right? Like, I'm sorry, but I don't think, there's a reason why we don't have pills all the time. Like, our body's not meant for all this stuff, right? So I think that where they got to do better, and this is just my opinion, when it comes to the military, and maybe they are doing better, but I could tell you when I got out, it was early 2004. They did, and I had already went through combat. They did not put me through any kind of training when I got out, telling me what PTSD was, that you might experience things, So for a while there, I didn't think anything was wrong with me, right? Or, whatever. And then I started talking to other people, and they're like, "Yeah, bro, that's PTSD. I got that too." I'm like, "Okay, well, all right." But see, we didn't know anything about these kind of things. So when people are going to separate, I think they need to do a better job at bringing, you created a warrior, a killer, someone who's trained to go and kill. Now they got to go into the civilian world and go get normal jobs where killing is not part of the resume. That's not going to help you on most of your resumes saying you know how to kill someone.
What job you're looking for.
Yeah. I think your the percentage of your jobs might go low on that, right?
It might not be in the United States, that job, but you probably find something.
Sure.
You'd be wearing a different uniform, but it's a little weird that way. And you said the pill thing, and that's something that really I harp on that as well. When I first got out, and they do actually talk about PTSD a lot more because there were so many people that had issues, and the 22 a day or 44 a day, depending on how you look at the statistics. And they actually addressed it a lot more. When I first came back in 2004 from that deployment, they told us we couldn't have PTSD because it was too soon after the events. So we all just went on our way, went back to work, did our jobs, go get our little MRE and go to work. That's all you got to do. And it wasn't until 2015 or 2011, after my third combat tour, I went to the doc and said, "Look, man, something's wrong with me. I need help." And he told me, "You're a Sergeant First Class. Go back to work." I said, "All right." I went back to work. 2015, I got out. 2016, I finally went to a real doctor and got help. But now they take care of them.
Yeah, it's just a shame that, like, how many people have had to go through so much too, right? Before to be heard or even to be taken, I still think there's still a little bit of a struggle out there with it, right? And I think that they're doing better with things, but we still have a lot of issues. Obviously, the number is still not good for veterans that decide to take their lives, even first responders as well.
Yep.
We don't even talk about them as much, but both those statistics are really high, right? Yes. And we got to start getting down to the root of it. And a lot of people don't. Some of these guys that do it smile every single day.
Yep. And
and
on the brave face.
Yeah, and they you can't tell, right? It's the silent wounds that we don't see sometimes that get these people. But how do we as a society, how do we as someone embrace that and try to get down to those silent wounds, right? Without pushing someone too far as well, right? Because there's times where someone just don't want to even acknowledge their silent wounds.
100%. Yep.
And it's something they got to be ready for, because you could push it on everybody all they want, but they're the ones that got to reveal those wounds. You can try to go search for them all you want, but they're the ones that got to ultimately reveal that.
100%. It's like the old saying: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
100.
So if
Right.
if our brother or sister is battling the demon, we can lead them to the doctor. They're not going to go in there, or they're not going to go and get that help they need because they had a bad experience at a doctor and they think they're all the same. And it's not one size fits all. We have to bridge that gap and let them know that there's other things out there. You're not going to go to the hairdresser if they cut your hair wrong, or the barber. You're going to find another one. Same thing with doctors. There's 100 million of them out there that all do different things, different styles. Not all of them do drugs. A lot of them, there's a lot of holistic medicine out there now. Go for what helps you and get the right help.
Yep, 100%. And it's something you got to try to identify sooner than later. There's a lot of damage that gets done if you take time and drag yourself to go in to get that help. You keep
Right.
trying to deny it and say, I'm good. Are you?
Are you really? Yeah.
You're only good until you're not, right? And then it takes a bad moment or a series of events to go down, and you can really end up in a bad spot if you're not have a clear mind, don't have a clear mindset already.
Definitely.
You know.
All right, I'm going to take us from this downward turn we went on and bring us back up a little bit. Tell us about Every Day is Saturday, the Marine Veteran podcast.
All right, so yeah, man. After a couple years of basically, not really working anymore, I was 100% unemployable. So I've been that since 2018. Kind of took me a little time to kind of find myself. And one day, honestly, in January, just like when I joined the Marine Corps, man, I just decided, hey, I feel like I'm going to start a podcast. Well, you don't know shit about podcasting, bro. But I'm like, all right, I'm going to go try this. So I started looking into YouTube videos and things like that and saw like, what does it take? Right. And so I picked up my cell phone. I had my gaming headset with a microphone on it and started into audio January 9th of 2023. And the way I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and tell my story, like about how I grew up, how I joined the Marines, and kind of, what I've done here, but a little bit more extended version. And then once I started getting into it, man, I was like, I like this. Maybe I'll start bringing people on and they can tell their stories. And then next thing you know, I have one of my dad's good friends who was a Navy veteran, and he was game to be my first guy. I had hit up several of my buddies, and no one was like, oh man, or yeah, bro, yeah, I got you. And we couldn't ever get it going. So I finally got one of them, my dad's friend on. I really had a good, fun interview with it. And then I was like, man, I'm just going to keep going with this. So that's what I've done, man. I just kept going, and then I've made it a goal of mine to try to improve my show, however I can, especially the first year. I started off where it was just audio, and I think I went about maybe 9 to 12 episodes or something with it was just audio only. But I was like, a goal of mine is to be video, and I'll do a YouTube channel and all that. So that's what I did, man. And I started it off and been growing it. And I've really taken a liking to it. I didn't realize how much therapy this actually was for myself, right? Just hearing other people's stories. And I was like, dude, screw going to see the psych. I'll have my show, right? And
it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and I it's been a blessing for me.
And my brother just jumped in. So next thing you know, you have your brother doing an episode a week. So I started my Tuesday cruise. My brother and Jake, they jumped on, did the Tuesday crew now. So
yeah, see, I mean, that's it. Just I've already done several different podcast shows. I have my Every Day's a Saturday podcast show. I just started this Raise the Roof top news stories where I do that once a week right now, and I have a panel on and we go through the top news stories. and we just weigh in on it. And then I have a dad life one that I started that I kind of just do on the side, and just do little. They're like probably like 15-minute episodes. Just talk about different dad life experiences. I have between my wife and I, we have 6 kids together. So I have a little bit of experience. My oldest, she's in college, and my youngest is 7. So, and then we got a lot in between, right?
Oh,
yeah. So
Brady Bunch.
Yeah, right.
And I have the website going across the bottom there for everyone to check out. The Every Day is Saturday USMC Vet podcast. Well, what's another way for people to get in contact with you, Bryan?
You could always, shoot me an email. And honestly, the website, which just completed this year, is the best way. It's a one-stop shop, really. You can check out I have 2 seasons right now. There's season 1. And season 1 was basically my life. I did my life story, and I did about 25 episodes. And then I did 50 interviews. And then season 2, I started off with a true crime military edition. I did 10 episodes of that. And that was quite interesting to see all the different guys that are mass murders now. Like, holy sheesh. And then I'm still continuing. My plan is to knock out another 50 interviews for this season. So hopefully here in season 2, I'll have 100 interviews, and we'll be able to celebrate that 100 interview mark. But man, it's something I really enjoyed, and things are constantly evolving. Opportunities keep coming, and it's just a matter of staying consistent, right? And showing up and delivering a show every week, or whenever I say I'm gonna, and make sure that show's there every day. So I drop an episode every Monday. And usually on the audio side, it drops at 12 a.m. And then on YouTube, it drops at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And I do a premiere with that usually. So I'll go watch that episode and sit in the chat area and usually chat up with people if they have questions and stuff like that. Just a way to interact. And I personally like to rewatch my episodes, because there's a lot of stuff I miss, man. When you're interviewing people, sometimes you'll be surprised how much you miss of the interview being the interviewer.
That's why I've learned to write everything down now. So
yeah, absolutely.
While you were giving your intro, I was writing down little key points. I was able to come back to them when I first started. Just like you, I was doing it in my Jeep on my phone in my Jeep. Jeeps are not quiet, so it was pretty loud in there. Doing my first like 12 episodes that way, and I've evolved a lot, and it's season 4 now. So hopefully we both can keep this game up and keep getting better each year.
Absolutely.
Before I let you go, I want you to give 3 bits of advice for someone to be a successful human.
For one is have integrity and be accountable for your actions, and be loyal. Those are my 3.
Awesome. And Bryan, thanks again for stepping on that grenade for me tonight.
Hey, man, thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Jumping on and doing this for me after a guest cancellation or scheduling error on his part. But thank you again, and I'll look forward to talking to you in the future.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.